local market.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So normally we have the quote of the day, but AJ's going to give us the quote of the day.
So this is the only quote I've invented. It's the only one I have.
Okay.
Right. So I know that now that I've said it to you, I'm going to say it to you. It's going to go out to the world and no one can steal it. So there are more ways to make money than there actually is money in the world.
All right. There are more ways to make money than there actually is money in the world. You heard it here first, AJ Plant. That's our quote of the day.
And there's a lot of ways that it's interesting because 2004 was actually, well, let's say 2005 was like the pandemic years, 2 years.
Yeah.
There were multiple offers. It was busy. It was nuts. And then we fell into 2007, 2008. Well, we felt it in Canada, but it wasn't the same because the banking system is different.
Yeah.
And then we go through the pandemic and everybody's making money. And then I'm just thinking that, you know, it's for the top 20% or 10% or whatever stat you want to use for the full-time agents. It's just like, okay, now I can call my investors because there's going to be some deals. Oh, market's hot. Well, then I'm going to get my investors that have stuff and see if they can cash in. So when it goes down, then they
get results.
So the ones that are the champions are always champion. You know, you can, it's funny because I saw those series on Michael Jordan, these guys, and, you know, and then I watched this movie called Amistad. Anyways, and there's a line in it that says, when you're king, you can't not be king. When you're president, you're always president. And when you're a champion, you're always champion.
Right.
And that's how the champions think. Doesn't matter the market because it's between the ears, as Bill Nasby says or said. You're always champion until you decide to say, no, I'm just a retired champion.
So you throw it. Yeah, and that's what people, it's so, you know, and that goes back to practice, really. Role play, scripting, practicing your presentation, not practicing on the clients. You know, champions don't just, you know, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they weren't just doing foul shots when they were winning all the time. They were doing foul shots when they were losing, when they were on the ascension.
That's right. And then, you know from experience that, you know, it's a simple business. Find a buyer, find a willing seller, put them together, do a deal, get paid. But it's the simple things, right? Get up in the morning, do what you got to do, practice your scripts. You know, you got to memorize them, internalize them, and then personalize them. You know, if you look on my phone, I have the elevator speech on there. I got 60 minutes on there. I got stuff that Joyce Baron's told me over the years on there. I got stuff from Tom Ferry, Bill Nasby. I know my scripts. And people, oh, you're so good at it. No, I grinded it out and I looked like a fool 100 times before I said it right.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. And if you could just get, you know, out of this talk we're doing, if the people that are listening could just get one thing, become an expert at something. And if that's scripts, if you could become an expert at 1 or 2 scripts, and that's all you were an expert at, you're going to do 80% better than you did the year before. Just to be able to respond to people. So how's the market? Well, where do you live? Right? Oh, I live here. Oh, what neighborhood? Oh, what street? When do you plan on moving? How long have you lived there? Where'd you move from? You could move, where'd you move to? When would that be? And have that conversation and understand how that language, how that communication works. Just that, you're going to add a zero to your income. Just that.
Yeah, but I think, but a lot of people want to try to do a little bit, you know, on their business card. I specialize in first-time home buyers, investors, home sellers, luxury, you know, rentals. Like, you can't be, you know, one size fits all. I think when you drill deep in, like you said, be an expert at one thing and then move to the next thing.
That's it.
And then be an expert in that.
That's right. That's right. So it's an interesting dynamic with real estate because people have a tendency to overcomplicate, myself included. I've gone all over the place. I was talking to some young agents the other day or last night, and I said, look, at the only thing I'm really good at, the only things is I'm good at grinding it out, which is like wrong, but I can grind it out, get up early, grind it, be told no 100,000 times, and I keep grinding it out, and I know how to talk to strangers. That's really all I'm good at. I'm good at talking, chatting.
Right.
That's it. So once I realized that if I just stay in that lane and be an expert at that, then all of a sudden things started to happen. But do this, do that. It's too much. It's just too much. 1 or 2 things.
Yeah, well, you're good at a lot. I mean, you're on the stage getting awards. I said your name like 4 times back to back in 4 different categories. So I mean, you won
3. Yeah.
been doing more than one.
I'm very grateful to have that.
So what's the kind of the craziest or wildest situation that you've seen, whether it was a client situation, whether it was an agent scenario? What tell us, share a story like that, like a real.
No, I grew up in a really, in to Canada, Ottawa standards, where I live in Ottawa, a really rough neighborhood. So I got a lot of crazy stories, but I have one story that really like pierced my heart. Now I don't sell real estate very much anymore. The odd friends, my family members, like, hey Jay, but there was this 2 years ago, there was a family, and my friend begged me to work with them, and it was impossible for them to get this house in their price range, in the neighborhood, market's at its peak. And this little girl, the family's from Romania, and she had a cute little accent. She says, I want a house with a star, in her accent. I want a house with a star. I can't do the accent. And okay, whatever. And mom kind of dismissed it. And so we went around, saw houses. We put an offer on a house, and impossible to get. Like, everyone was 20, 50, 100,000 over asking. We went in at asking. And for some strange reason, I tried to put letters. We got the house. I don't know why. Anyways, we go to the house, and we walk by, and the little girl, about 5 years old, looks up at the garage, detached garage, and there's about 3 times the size of a basketball hoop, a big bronze star.
Wow.
On the garage. And she looks up and she says, thank you for getting my star house. And she walks into the house. And I look at the mother and the father, and what? And the realtor and the seller were there from the other side. And I said, has this star been here the whole time? They're like, yeah, it's been here since our grandfather built the house. And we wanted to ask you, is it okay if we leave it here? And then I told them the story of the little girl. And they said, you know what? Your offer was lower than everyone's. It was not a very good offer, but there was something that just kept saying, we want this family. And they never met them to have this house.
Wow.
So that got me even more motivated to focus on selling franchises, because if I can open more markets, and if I can get more solid brokers and more real estate agents and tell that story, I can help so many people through them. And it just goes to show that innocence, looking up and saying, I want a house with a star. And then when she got there, she looked up as if it was expected. She assumed the position, and she's like, oh, thank you for this house, the star house, and walked back in. And it's not a crazy story, but it's a story that, made me realize that this business, because it's so personal, we have the opportunity to help so many great people. And if I could help 1 billion people, imagine how I'm going to feel on my deathbed, knowing that in my own little corner of the universe, I was able to help more people than I could ever imagine.